Hello everybody, in today's video what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a sort of like mashup video between Inktober and Ocktober, and this here is sort of two challenges that are done at the month of October, as the name sort of implies, and that is going to be doing two different styles. I'm going to be combining them into this one drawing here for the video, and that is Inktober, of course, which is you're supposed to spend a month every day doing a different prompt that is generated to you by the people that do run Inktober, as well as there's also a lot of other challenges for each of these days. It's supposed to be like an art challenge month where you expand upon your abilities and try and see if you can come up with creative ideas for these prompts that are generated over the month. And then on the other side we have Ocktober, and this is one that the miniature painting community has sort of taken on, and that is you're supposed to be painting up your orcs in your miniatures for the month. It's not quite the same, it's more you use this month to paint up some of the orc miniatures you have on you, rather than making it paint up a miniature a day. So slight differences there, as that would be kind of crazy in the miniature painting sort of side of it. But doing these two things, I thought combining these two together would be super interesting to do. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be painting, or I should say inking, a orc, and that's going to be the orc side, but using the inks. So what I'm going to be doing here, as you can see, is I'm doing a under sketch, but I want to do the final piece in just ink, so I'm not going to be using any colors or anything like that. I've never done just an inking drawing before, so this is going to test my skills as well. So this will definitely be testing my inking skills and putting that to the test, because I usually just sort of do like a outline to my drawings, and that's about it as far as inking goes. So doing the sort of like Inktober challenge, making a whole drawing an actual ink piece, I thought it'd be kind of cool and mix it up a little bit. But as you can see here, we're just focusing on the under sketch because I really want to get this right. I've seen a lot of the Inktober challenges where they just go straight into inks and you don't do any under drawings or anything like that. I want to be, since I'm still a new artist, I need the guidelines and stuff before I start working at that level. So I want to have a rough idea of shape and what I'm actually going to be drawing, rather than going straight into it. So I hope you can forgive me for that sort of thing. I need that under sketch to work out what I'm doing. I'm not a good enough artist yet to just go straight into an ink there and not have it have crazy wacky proportions or just be completely wonky in some sort of way. But with all the under sketching done, what we're going to do is start moving on to some of this inking. Okay, so as you can see, I spent a few more minutes here on the process to refine it a bit more from that initial sketch. I think it was a bit longer than a few minutes. I think it was probably the exact same amount of time, doubled, but this was to more concentrate on some of the more nitty-gritty details. But I wanted that basic sketch down on camera. Also, my files were a little corrupted and wonky trying to get them of these last few minutes of fixing up this final sketch, so I just decided to cut it all and just skip straight here to the starting of our inking process. Now, as I said just before, I've never done a full ink drawing before, so I don't know exactly how people do inking. I should have maybe done a little bit of research on this before, but stubborn me, I thought, how hard can it be? You just gotta chuck on some ink. But then when I actually went to go put the pen on the paper, I all of a sudden got a little bit nervous and started realizing how dangerous it can be very, very quickly, as I was going to go in with my brush tip pen, and I realized how quickly I could mess that up by how thick and thin it can be, as it constantly can adjust sizes. So what I decided to do was play it safe for me and start off by using an ordinary ballpoint pen. This one here is a really nice ballpoint pen where the ink flows out nice and smoothly. And that is what I use to pretty much go over everything first. What I usually do in most of my artwork is I usually go around in a pen just like this and outline everything, and then I usually color it in. So this part I'm at least a little bit familiar with, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to set this up so I had everything in some sort of ink, and then I can use the big brush pen as for doing the big sweeping shadows and areas that I want to thicken and darken in, like that. That's my sort of thought process of how I could do this without messing it up too much, because as you can see, I'm recording this, so I don't want to look or mess it up, I should say, so crazy that it becomes an unusable piece. Might make a slightly funnier video, but I really wanted to see how far I could push myself, because like I said, this is my first ever time doing a ink just only picture or artwork itself. Usually, as far as I would go, would probably be this little bit here, which is just outlining because I get too lazy and bored, or just forget to colour the thing in my younger years, or just any other time I do one where I feel I'm happy enough with that, I don't want to bother colouring it in. So this is taking it to the actual next step and really trying to make it look like a full cohesive art piece, sort of like a comic book style piece. You know, they have really awesome inking artists that really know how to make things look awesome and dynamic and really give off awesome effects with their shading, and that's what I want to try and sort of emulate here. The only thing is I probably should have maybe had like a reference photo, or just some actual, because I do read and collect comics as well, because I should maybe just had like a comic book out on the side so I could sort of get a little bit of reference of how they do some of this, but I totally didn't, as my desk isn't very big, and you'd probably just see the picture off to the side of the space, and I didn't want to wreck any of my comics or anything like that, so I didn't even think about it. I was just going straight into it, and I wanted to get it done, and sort of I was just going in there sort of basically pretty bravely and just thinking the best way to do this and to try and learn is, for me, is to just try and do it myself and try and figure it out. I think I find that process a little bit easier, which is where I go in, I try and figure it out, and I usually mess it up or anything like that, and then I try and look at references and that and see where I've gone wrong and try and adapt from there. That's sort of my process in my sort of art journey here, is how to figure things out. So one of the other things I should probably talk about too is the actual piece itself. So I went with the Orc here because, like I said, I wanted to do the mashup between Ocktober and Inktober. So I wanted to come in with an Orc, but I decided that I would make this sort of a portrait of an Orc rather than a full body piece, which is what I've been pretty much drawing on the channel mostly, is because I'm trying to work out my anatomy and my figure drawing and that sort of thing. I'm trying to really get proportions and body shape and all that sort of right as well. But one thing I also am neglecting in terms of doing that as well is I'm missing out a lot of details in certain areas of body parts and places like that. And one area where that can lack, of course, is the face, because I'm so focused on trying to draw a whole piece, as I'm not spending as much time on the face as I probably should, as like I said, I'm still a beginner artist, so I'm trying to level up all my skills sort of all at once, and doing something like this is just going to help this here, because I'm making this a portrait piece that you would see sort of like on a character select screen or something like that, is that because it's so zoomed in, I have to spend a little bit more detail and time on the actual face itself and get in there like some of the wrinkles, the muscle movements, the expression, things like that, things that I'm definitely not good with, and especially since I've been focusing so much lately on doing the whole entire body and trying to get that down, which is super important, but I also got to focus on other things as well. So I thought this would be an awesome time to switch up a little bit of my art journey and give me something slightly different to do. So that's why I went with the face portrait here. So there we have it. Now that we have our entire piece completely outlined in ink, now it's time to go in with the big, bold, scary stuff, and this here is my ink brush pen that I was talking about earlier on. And when I realized, I said I was going to get a little bit scared with just if I had gone straight in with this, and I think my proportions and lines would have started being a little bit squiggly, and giving a full outline with just a regular ballpoint pen, I think it's given me a lot more courage and a little bit more flexibility in terms of then giving that a little bit of time to think about where I could put in some shadows to emphasize certain parts and really hopefully give it that more dynamic and more sort of unbelievable like comic artist sort of appeal, I think, is what I'm trying to do here. And of course using it for those shadows to really emphasize them and give them a nice bold and really exciting punch on the piece. So, and like I said as well, I didn't have any reference or anything for this. This is just going straight off knowledge in my head of what a lot of comics that I read are like, and trying to sort of emulate that as much as I could. I really should have been a little bit smarter and had some sort of reference on the side, but that's all part of my journey here, is, you know, just doing it how I would. I'm just trying to convey exactly how I would do a art piece without the camera on, essentially, and really trying to beef up my skills without having to have references all over the place as well, because I'm never going to grow and branch out as an artist if every time I have to, every time I want to do an artwork, I have to pull out, you know, 100 references to try and get anything close to what's in my. So hopefully it's been interesting and fun watching me go on my art journey here and learning a whole bunch of new things and getting better. Hopefully it's coming across as I want it to in the videos that I've been doing over the last little while, because I wanted to try and boost up my miniature painting skills as well as my actual art skills as well. So I hope this definitely has been fun and interesting for you, just something a little bit different to watch. And if you have any tips and tricks for me, if you've seen this video for the first time and you don't know who I am or anything, of how I could improve my artwork as well, and just even just give me some slight tips on the better ways to do a little bit of shading, that would also be really, really cool as well. I always like to learn new things, and hopefully this could be a great way to teach me something that I do not know yet, or some big glaring mistakes you can see me doing wrong, which I'm sure I am in this video, but hopefully I can convey the point across that I'm trying to get here. But I must say, I am actually really happy with how this piece is looking so far, especially for the first time me ever doing a completely inked piece like this. I definitely have never done anything like this before, which is actually quite surprising considering I'm a big fan of comic books and stuff like that. I've never really tried to copy a lot of the art or anything and really do anything like this, so that's just something that I've surprised I've never actually done before now. So that's an interesting new thing for me, and hopefully too that with just having all the references and that you can get the idea of how silly I can be sometimes when I should be clearly using something like a reference for, especially doing a video on YouTube like this, to try and make my art look a little bit better, and really try and emphasize that a little bit more. But I want to keep this video and all of my art videos as an authentic process that I go through doing this, and seeing how I can gradually grow to a better and better artwork along the way as I'm trying to improve with each drawing, which hopefully I am. I definitely hope I am. I think I am getting slowly better at things, and it's just a great way for me to boost up my artwork. I really love doing art, and this has definitely given me the great creative outlook in doing it, because it is forcing me to do a lot of artwork that I usually am too lazy to do, because I'm either not so much too lazy to, just not having time to. So putting them into YouTube videos is definitely giving me more time to do this sort of thing, because my other things I'd be doing is I'd either be spending so much time on miniature painting that I don't have enough time to do any artwork, or watching YouTube or playing video games or something like that, not spending time doing art. So my skills are never improving like I want them to. So putting them here on YouTube is definitely giving me that outlet to finally improve myself. But what we're going to do now is we are going to go into those nice glamour shot pictures at the end to see how the final piece came out. Now I did spend a little bit longer afterwards on this, adding a little bit more pieces of detail and little bits to enhance it that little bit more, because I wanted to, what I did basically is I looked at it once I was finished, as we just about finishing up here, and I quickly had a look at like a comic book, and I finally realized I should reference some thing, and I quickly flicked through a comic book I had, and they have little stripes of detail and cross-hatching and shading, so I want to try and add a little bits of those sorts of details onto the piece to try and enhance it that little bit more. So going into the glamour shots, you'll see the final piece, and adding in those little bits of detail I think really bring it together. So let's go into those glamour shots now. And there you have it. There is my final artwork for my mashup art challenge of Ocktober and Inktober. So I hope this video has been interesting for you guys. If you wanted to see what a mashup between these sort of two events do, as well as that, I hope this has been interesting for you, seeing my first ever actual full inked artwork I have actually ever done to completion and anything like that. First time ever doing anything like this sort of style in terms of artwork. So I hope that has also been interesting for you guys. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.